All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
Welcome on in, everybody. NorCal Sports Network. Entertaining basketball game. Maybe not the greatest play game, but entertaining, not to say the least, or whatever I like to say in Israel. What a game. Warriors win it 121-119. Steph goes for 40. And we're going to break it down for you. Let us thank our sponsor first. That's Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Give Chapman Law Group a call at 415-613-9483 for all your legal needs, whether it's a personal injury situation, you need some documents, you want to sue somebody, whatever it is, they got you covered. Chapman Law Group. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, guys. And take a break tonight. We'll bring you back at the end. All right, guys. What a game. Warriors down early by 22, 23, something like that. And
25-5 to start.
Yep. And Curry was I was watching him. He was getting handled. He couldn't break away and move around the court. They were holding him. They were smacking him. And for the game's greatest attraction, I mean, he does not get many calls. How about that call at the end of the game when they knocked him back court? They just knocked him over. And they call it over and back. I mean, they call it over and back violation. He's not going backwards if he doesn't get bumped. It's the second time, I think, on this road trip that's happened, or at least in the last couple of weeks, I recall seeing that. But anyway, guys, what was your take on this game tonight? To me, before I turn it over, it was Jimmy Butler taking over the game.
Yeah, well, I've personally been in those kind of basketball games, whether it's street ball or organized ball. And what I mean by that is you have two teams. One is definitely inferior of the other, and they know it. And the game plan is to push the boundaries and push the limits on how physical they could be. And the refs were letting them play tonight on both sides. They really let them play. So they were a lot of holding, a lot of pushing. They were getting under the Warriors' skin. They were getting away with a lot. They came out and got out to that, big time lead. Warriors have been there, done that. They didn't, being down 20 was no big deal to them. They've seen this before and been able to overcome it before. In basketball, when you get under people's skin, it can, if that was a younger team, that might have gotten away from them real quick. But the Warriors are a veteran team, and they know how to deal with things like that. So they're able to right the ship, be able to get their balance, see what they were doing, and push back a little bit. They got physical in their own right, which was good. This is the kind of game, I know we get on Draymond for a lot of his antics and little things like that, but this is the type of game that you need a Draymond Green for, because you can't have a bunch of finesse players getting pushed and bullied around and not push back. And that's what you needed to do. So it was good to see.
Lou, what was your take on tonight?
Well, what's amazing about this this road trip, 5 games, we played the worst first halves of all 5 games. And we wind up going 4-1. And what we said in game 1 of the road trip, a shot at the end of the first half makes a world of difference. If Steph doesn't make that turnaround 3, and instead of us being down only 5, we're down 8, I think it's a different second half. I think that shot again was another gut punch, which of course happened when we played against Orlando to begin the road trip. The other thing is, and I'm not saying they weren't good tonight, but they're a team that's not that good. They did beat us before, but when you play a team, the last game of a road trip, and you can't wait to get home, that's usually the toughest game. But against a good team, you can't start off letting the team go 9 for 11, be down 25-5, because in the playoffs, if this is a road game, they get blasted. But the one thing about the Warriors is they just need to stay within breathing sense within 5 to 10. And, with our guys, Steph, and of course, my guy again, my player of the day, Peyton Jr. the second, Mr. Sparkplug, they're going to stay in it. And, again, the Warriors made the free throws again. It's amazing. I mean, the first half of the season, the Warriors couldn't shoot 65%. Now we're up to 85%. And again, critical things happen. Less turnovers, small ball, not shooting threes, and making your free throws. It's amazing when you do that, how much easier the game is. But tonight, with Steph scoring 40, the Warriors, again, it was weird. Once you saw them make that run, you knew they were going to come back. And that's what a good team does.
Yeah, the start was so bad. It was 25-5. I texted when Steph got that offensive foul against Keon Johnson, and he just put his elbow into his chest or shoulder, and just because he was fed up with it. I said, love seeing Steph get physical. They're poking the bear. If Warriors get back in this game, Steph's going for 40 plus tonight. That was early, and I've seen Steph do this. When he gets pissed off, man, you think that dude is just some he's a super nice guy, and he's super easy going, it appears. That dude wants to cut your heart out on the court.
Yeah. It's very interesting because, like in sports, certain sports, when you get angry, does not work for you. It works against you. Like baseball, for example. Basketball's, football's kind of like, you don't want to get an offensive lineman upset as a defensive lineman, like you pushed him late, because he might beat the crap out of you on the next play, and it'll be absolutely legal. Basketball is interesting, though, because Steph's game is based upon finesse. But to rile him up in a game that maybe he was coasting, not a smart plan by Brooklyn. But the Warriors got to understand, they may not be the champions, but because they got Steph Curry on their team, it's like they're the champions. That arena is sold out. They're looking to see Steph make plays, and they're quite frankly cheering for the Warriors more than they are the home team in most buildings. So every team is going to be up for them and is going to be, come out with, like Lou said, the reason the Warriors get off to bad starts is they take, haymakers from the other team to begin with. And they just got to settle in and be able to take them, and then, be able to get back to their game, which they did.
Yeah, you look at Steph, and I saw one time, it was early on in the game. Things weren't going the Warriors' way. I can't even remember what play it was, but Steph was walking down the sideline, and he just kind of went like, okay, this is the way it's going to be. Okay. Not gonna give me any calls tonight. Okay. All right. Look out. I'm going to stick it right up your you-know-what tonight. I'm telling you, that's how that guy thinks.
And let me tell you something. Having played basketball for a long, long time, there is no bigger shit-talking sport than basketball. Correct. On a play-by-play season. On a play-by-play basis, Brooklyn was talking a lot. And like I said, you have to be mentally thick-skinned to be able to take it. And when your time comes, absolutely, you're going to give it back. So, that was a fun game to watch, because you kind of knew when they made that little run at the end of the first quarter that they were going to kind of get back into it. And you can kind of slowly see Brooklyn's body language going, oh, shit, we gave them their best shot in here. They keep coming.
No, I'm. Let's pull up the box score real quick as we take a look at this, because there was several players tonight that to me stood out. And Draymond only scored 7 points, but he had 10 assists, and he was playing really solid defense. And he was, he's got to work on the turnovers, as Mark Graves said in the chat. He had 3 turnovers tonight. Steph had 5. I guess you count that last one where he gets pushed out back court as a turnover. So I really don't think that was a turnover. But guys that stood out to me tonight, just even though little things, Quentin Post taking the ball down in the hole against a smaller guy, trying to go up for things, wanting the ball, getting the layup at one point, hitting a 3. Gary Payton playing his heart out tonight with, that mask on, going to the hole. Moses Moody hitting a couple of key shots. Guy Santos with his hustle. Jimmy Butler plus 17 tonight. The dude was, it was his best all-around game because they truly needed him to take over when Steph was not on the court. And Jimmy was going to the hoop with authority, getting foul calls. He was 10 of 10 from the foul line tonight. Steph, 9 of 9. The starters were 22 of 22 from the free throw line. Not one starter missed a free throw tonight. And they were 29 of 32, 90.5%. That's unfreaking believable. That's just, they're the number 1 free throw team in the league now that they were 30th and now they're first. I don't know. I've never seen a turnaround in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks like this in my life. I mean, where do you go from 30th to first? It's like,
go ahead, Dan.
no, it's just unbelievable. And then the last thing I'll say, and then I want to get your guys' thought on this. There's a guy on the team that I absolutely think it. You know how some guys, either playing good, they're not playing good. You just don't know what to do with them. Buddy Hield is a guy that he's either hot or cold, just like you want a guy to be. You don't want a guy to be mid, and he just if Buddy's hitting, he's great. The Warriors have only lost, they're like 10-1 when he scores 18 points or more. But when he is off, you just have to get him out of the game and sit his butt because he is awful. Just awful. That's what I kind of like about Buddy, because there's no gray area. He's either on or he's off, and you don't play him when he's off, and when he's on, turn him back on. You got other guys like Peyton, like Moody, and you're going to have Kuminga come back, and then you've got Pods. Hopefully, looks like Pods had a back spasm issue, so he'll probably be okay in a few days. But what's your take on Buddy Hield and some of the other guys tonight?
Go ahead, Lou.
Well, I think, one thing I really learned tonight about the Warriors, and maybe it's something I didn't acknowledge until tonight, but the one thing about Butler, it really brings back the rotation of the Warriors. Since he's been there, there is actually a rotation. I also thought tonight what the key is the Steph off the court minutes were all plus, because you really can't go by plus or minus, because if you look at it, you might as well get rid of that Curry guy. He was minus 16. But you want Curry on the court than not be on the court. So sometimes that plus minus isn't the thing. But I thought tonight, again, total team win. And I think you're right, Dan. With the Buddy Hield, we bring this up. When a couple of nights ago they won by 20. I thought tonight the key is somebody probably of the Warriors said, listen, if you remember earlier in the season, the Warriors led by 18 at home against Brooklyn, and Brooklyn came back. Remember when the Warriors lost to San Antonio and they lost to Brooklyn, basically back-to-back, blowing fourth quarter leads with Butler there. This isn't going to happen, and I think when you talk about guys talking smack, Brooklyn said, we already beat you once. Now we're up 20. You guys aren't nothing. And all of a sudden, boom. And the Warriors hung tough. And again, I'm going to bring it back. That one shot, there's a big difference going down 5 with momentum than being down 8. And I think probably the biggest, that shot was unbelievable. And then probably the biggest rebound, Dan, you brought up, was Quentin Post, where literally they went up probably 4 or 5 times and he wind up getting the ball in. where I think the old Warriors, would have, or earlier in the season, would have just given up. Literally it was like 5 or 6 chances and they got it. And when you look back, that one Quentin post, which was 2 points, and then Stephen Curry's 3-pointer at the end, that's 5 points. They only won by 2. So they needed every point down the stretch. Even though we were up 9, it seemed like with a minute and a half and it was over with, mistakes happen on the road. But hey, 4-1 on the road trip, successful. And, they get the magic number that's going to be over Dan's right shoulder for the over and under of 44. And, the Warriors right now, the other thing about the Warriors is they're actually fun to watch again.
Yes.
They're really fun. It's almost an event where you want to watch them again, where before the Warriors were like, oh my God, what are they going to do now? Sort of like the Giants, how are they going to screw up? But now they're exciting. And the other thing about the Warriors, not only is Steph exciting because he's now taking it to another level, they have about 5 or 6 guys that are really excited to watch. And I think that's the difference of the season. You have a rotation that you know about, and you know what to expect from each guy, and they're fun to watch. They're fun.
Let's take a look at this ridiculous shot. Let's take a look at this ridiculous shot to close the half. And I love how he walked off the court.
Yeah, was he even looking at the hoop when he threw it?
Yeah,
No,
but 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds on the clock, and he just went to the locker room because it's impossible to get a shot off with 0.3 or under. So he just left. I thought that was classic. Let's take a look here. Oop. Start. What's going on? That is not a lucky shot. I'm telling you, that's not a lucky shot for Steph. He had his eye on the hoop.
You expect it.
And he had a good look at it, and he practices that stuff.
That's so deflating for the other team. It's like a Hail Mary before halftime.
It's funny because I didn't know Ryan at the half, he texted something out of that shot. Let me see what he said. He said something crazy, but I can't repeat it here, but what WTF kind of shot even was that leaning, fading right? Man, only Steph can make that shot. This shot was way more impressive than the shot against the Magic, in my opinion. Yeah, Steph's about to have 40 piece. It's looking like, yeah. It was that was critical. I mean, you think about that. He did it against Orlando at the end of the half, and then this, and you go into the half, and then they come out in the third quarter. They took the lead, and then Brooklyn got it back. But I never felt like the Warriors were in danger of. I really didn't. I just figured that Brooklyn was they were 10 of 16 at one point on threes, and they're the worst team in the league.
Came back down to
it. Yeah,
good teams find a way to win when it counts, and that's the difference between the Warriors of the first half and now after the Butler trade. I mean, they're a different team.
Let me ask you guys this let's talk about Jimmy Butler. To me, this is probably one of the most impactful trades that I have witnessed, where a team just is night and day different. Like, I mean, they're Lou. I mean, before the trade, we were thinking this team, it's not even going to make the play-in the way they were going. It was just hard to watch. No one was enjoying it. Now, like you said, they're fun to watch. And I will say this, Jimmy Butler is one of the smartest basketball players out there in the league. He is very, very smart, and he just absolutely knows what he's doing. I'm going to say this. If the Warriors win or, advance deep into the Western Conference playoffs, I think that Mike Dunleavy should be put up possibly for Executive of the Year with drafting Quentin Post with the 52nd pick and putting this roster together. I don't want to hear anything about Rob Pelinka. That was a gift. That was a gift, Luka. He didn't seek out Luka. That was Nico Harrison gifting Luka Doncic to the Lakers. So this trade by the Warriors. Now I'll admit, I said early on when Jimmy was going through all of his crap with Miami, I don't want Jimmy. I don't want Jimmy. I think a few of us said it because we saw all of the issues. But Happy Jimmy is one of the top guys in the league when it comes to winning basketball. He may not be the sharpest or greatest shooter and all these different things. This dude's just a winner. He knows how to win. Look, he took teams Miami twice to the finals that was not even close to the talent that this team has in the Warriors. So I think Jimmy Butler, man, as long as he's happy and the Warriors will only have him for 2 more years, and we should get at least 1 year of him happy. I'm thrilled with this trade. What do you guys think of this trade? And have you ever seen a trade in a sport? I'm sure there's something that you guys can come up with because you've been watching sports as long as I have. A trade where it was this night and day, the difference, what it's done to a team.
Winning solves everything. Bottom line. Jimmy's great when the team's winning. Hopefully we don't see a big losing streak because I don't think we want to see the other side of Jimmy Butler. So we'll enjoy it while it's lasting. But I made a mental note of the game. And I said this the first week they got Jimmy Butler. And this is his value, amongst other things. It's 110, 105. Brooklyn's making a run. Steph's run around through picks, through screens to try to get open, to bail the team out again and get a score to stop one of those 7-0, 8-0 slides. Jimmy's got the ball and looking for him. They double team him. Jimmy makes a play and goes to the basket and he gets to the line. And I said that's one of Jimmy's biggest positives for this team is he can stop those 8-0, 10-0, 12-0 runs by finding a way to get to the line. And his value goes beyond that because I think in practice, whenever they do practice in shoot-arounds and during games and in the locker room, I think he is telling the guys to stop settling for threes and go to the basket. He's holding people accountable. For a long time, it was just Draymond Green was the only person that could really get in your face and say, what the F are you doing? You need to stop doing this. Now you have 2 guys that can do that and 2 legitimate guys that are proven. So Jimmy is going to hold people accountable, and he's going to have people not settling for threes and, going to the basket and getting to the line. And that's why one guy is not going to take you from 30th to 1st at the free throw line. It's a total team effort. So you're seeing more guys go to the line and not just Jimmy Butler. So that's where his value lies on the team, is just being a leader and being able to get guys to do the right thing and make the right smart, high IQ play. Warriors are 4 times champions a lot, not just because they can shoot the ball, but they were always and have always been a high IQ team. And Jimmy just brought that high IQ team back by coming here. As far as trade goes, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. We live in the moment in social media and in life in general. So I always will say, as far as the Warriors go, Andrew Bogut for Monte Ellis, which was screamed upon by Warrior fans that Joe Lacob didn't know what the F he was doing. Turned out it was the right move because they needed defense, they needed rebounding, and it brought him a championship. So to me, if Jimmy Butler can bring a championship, that trade will be equal or better. If not, I still got the Bogut trade as being the most influential.
Yeah,
Warrior
I'll tell
trade.
you, Jimmy was efficient too. He only took 1 3-pointer and he nailed it. And he had a little nice arc on it finally. Yeah, he usually shoots a line drive. It was nice to see. Hey, we bring in Big Frank Red. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing great. I'm on with 3 of my favorite guys. Lou,
Hey,
Los, and Dan. How you guys doing?
hey, Frank.
Awesome.
What's
Good,
up,
Frank.
Good to see you, Frank. What'd you think of the game tonight? Pretty wild.
It was pretty wild. You know what? Burn the tape, get on the plane, get home safely. Anytime you win on the road, it's a good win. And, Steve Kerr knows he's played long enough, he's coached long enough. And these guys should know, but they probably had a good time last night in New York. Any NBA team can beat you, so you got to strap it up and come out ready to play. Fortunately for them, they were able to rally the troops and essentially just play how they're playing right now, which is some of the best basketball in the NBA. Their half-court execution on offense is flawless. I mean, they probably played better, but I love how they play in the half-court. I mean, they bewildered teams like they did tonight, and it was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned something about the winning on the road and then and taking care of business. It's pretty crazy that what the team has been through and on the road. But you mentioned New York. I think it was Draymond's birthday yesterday or the day before, so they were probably up celebrating pretty hard. They looked
After
like
the
it in the
Knicks
first
game.
quarter.
Yeah.
After the Knicks game, yeah. After that first quarter, I mean, they looked like as flat. I mean, they were at 5 points, like 8 minutes into the game.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this felt like a family trip. I mean, certain family members mark it down on which road trips they want to go on. I mean, when you go to New York, it's electric. So the fact that they had an off day, we don't know what their commitments were on their off day after practice, what the responsibilities were. And sometimes those things get in the way of doing your job. And like I said, this was a game that they could not afford to lose. So fortunately, they were able to kind of stick together as long as they got Buddy off the court. I mean, oh my
We talked
God,
about
man.
that.
God awful, just terrible. He made some plays tonight that would have given his 8th grade basketball coach a heart attack.
Oh, like when he drove to the hoop and didn't do a jump stop, he just threw it away. Lou, Red, I was saying earlier before you got on, the great thing about Buddy is you know when to play him and you know when to bench him because he's hot or cold. He's no neutral. He's not a guy out there you go, he's doing some things okay. I think I'll give him another shot, leave him in there for another couple of possessions. No, he's so bad that when he's off, it's like, sit down. We're not going to see you tonight. The rest of the night.
How many years has Buddy been in the league? 8? 7?
8 to 10. 8 to 10
about.
I asked that because he needs a mid-range game. He can shoot. Shooters can shoot. And Buddy's game is three-pointer or drive to the basket. Nothing in between. And I don't know why. You don't need the right coach. You upon yourself as a basketball player should know I can shoot. So if I'm not feeling it one night from three-point range, I can up fake. They're going to go right by me, step in and shoot an 18 to 17 footer. And that might get you going. But I hardly ever see him doing that. And I'm confused as to why he doesn't make the adjustments in that.
That's a good point, Los. I don't know why, because Steph sure has a nice mid-range game.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Buddy is three-pointer or one-footer. 25-footer or one-footer. There's nothing really in between too much other than a free throw.
This is the first time he's ever played any like high leverage moments, though.
True.
So I mean, this is his opportunity to literally go back to basketball school. Because all these other stops, he was just filling minutes and putting up stats, and winning really wasn't a priority. But on this team, they hold him accountable. The irony is they seem to like him as a person, so they tolerate him. If they didn't like him as a person, they might be throwing blows on the court because he does some things that are just simply inexplicable. But like Dan said, at this point, after 60 games, they know what he is. When he's hot, you keep him on the court. When he's not making shots, you got to get him off. It's simple.
Yep.
Let's take a quick peek at the standings because this is getting kind of interesting here. The Warriors was doing a little advance, looking at Houston's remaining schedule and Memphis. It looks like Memphis has about 9 to 10 losses on their schedule based on what I see, which would put them at maybe 48 and 34, like 10 and 10. And Houston, I've got about 8 or 9 built in there. The Warriors could, if they could get to 48 wins, 49 wins, and they own the tiebreakers, I believe, with both Memphis and Houston, they could get all the way to 4th. And what that would do would be amazing, because 4th or 5th is really the spot you want to be. Ideally 4th, because you get home court advantage first round. But you want to avoid the bracket with the 2nd and 3rd seed, which is going to be Lakers, Denver. You don't want to have to be the 6th seed and play either Denver or the Lakers in the first round.
I'm more confident in them beating Denver than LA, to be honest.
So
they're a bad matchup for LA. is a bad matchup for them for whatever reason.
It's a little better, I think, that AD is gone, but
Right.
you got Luka now to deal with. But I think Lakers are. Yep, it's still tough. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think the Warriors need to get to 5th, because we know the second. I don't think Memphis or Houston is getting back into that 3 seed. I think the top 3 seeds are going to remain. What do you guys think?
I think I want them to secure a top 6 pick, and then we can look at the 4th or the 5th, because I think that this homestand that they're playing some really good teams, and
Yes.
it's going to be
Break's
tough.
not gonna be easy.
I don't think they can afford to kind of look ahead, but I think that they will win somewhere between, probably at this point, 45 or 48 games. It would be great, but if you're playing really good basketball like the Warriors are, you think you can beat anybody. The Lakers are not a great matchup for the Warriors, but guess what? Stephen Curry right now is playing as well as he's ever played in any years that he's won the MVP. Right now, he's on one. So if he can continue to play, Jimmy Butler is playing well. This is not the same Warrior team that we saw the first 40 games. And again, as long as they keep the turnovers down, they make free throws like they're doing tonight, even in the half court, I think that they would be a tough challenge for every team because they execute so well.
Agreed.
That's a good point, Frank. Very good point. And I'm just looking here tonight at their turnovers. Their turnovers were 16, a little high. I think ideally you want to be at 12 or less. And they would not win this game if this was a good team with 16 turnovers and getting down 20 early. So Lou brought that up early. I think, though, that I agree with you. They can beat anybody. And I just would prefer not to have to face Denver or LA just in the first round, because those are two teams that have, championship pedigree. If you can take on Memphis or Houston, that would be great. I mean, to me, the most ideal scenario, first round, is Memphis falls to 6 or wherever. I don't care where they fall, but Houston takes the 5 seed and the Warriors end up at 4. That would be ideal, because then you have the home court advantage against a team you've owned in the Houston Rockets. But Minnesota, I was looking at the schedule, strength of schedule. Minnesota has the easiest strength of schedule remaining. So Minnesota is a team to be on the lookout. They're healthy, and they are, starting to figure it out with their, all the new guys they've got.
It's going to line up the way it's meant to line up. And like Frank said, if they play LA, so be it. It's just like they got to just be playing good fundamental ball going into the playoffs, hopefully, and whoever's in front of them is in front of them. Warriors have
Yeah,
never
you can't
backed down
control
to
it.
anybody. You know, they should be other teams should be worried about the Warriors, not the other way around. Just the reputation, you know, the ring status, and being able to play in these big games and play well in these big games. So, you know, it's going to take care of itself. We always say we can look at the schedule and this is going to be a win, this is going to be a win, this is going to be a loss, but you know it never works out that way. There's always losses when you least expect it and wins when you least expect it.
And you never know whose injuries play a part in all these schedule, different things that go on. But you mentioned, Frank, that you think Steph's playing the best ball that maybe he's ever played, including his MVP year.
As well.
Yeah, as well. I agree. And I think it's the all of a sudden it's like he got new life when they made that trade for Jimmy.
Yeah.
He was just, I mean, he didn't look like he was enjoying himself at all.
No, he wasn't, because he had 2-3 guys guarding every possession.
Yes.
So so all of those hedge plays that they run, those slip cuts, they wasn't going with the other players. They were hedging on Steph Curry, and he would throw the ball to guys who couldn't make shots. Those guys are gone now. So now you know they have to really think about whether or not they want to hedge and double, because how many slip cuts are the Warriors getting now? Quite a few, and they're finishing. And Jimmy Butler gets fouled, 7 out of 10 possessions? I mean, you know, so the Warriors are a scary team offensively. They really are. And every day that Big Perk or somebody else talks about how the Warriors are not that good, they have to take a step back and kind of eat their words a little bit, because, again, playoff basketball is about half-court efficiency. That's what it's about. Whoever can execute defensively and offensively generally wins series. It's not about three-point shooting. It's about half-court execution. And the Warriors do a great job in that regard. So they might not win. They're not the most talented team. But I tell you what, they're scary as hell right now.
Frank, I wanted to ask you, kind of going inside the game of basketball.
Yeah.
Because you understand, and you know this, that, and I brought this up earlier in the show, when you're playing a team that is inferior to you, when the guy that is guarding you is inferior to you, and they get off to a good start, and they're really physical, and the refs are letting them be physical, and they're in your face talking and dropping 4-letter bombs. How did you as a player deal with it when somebody was trying to do that to you? Because I know, speaking for myself, I was pretty emotional. Like, I let it get to me, and it did kind of affect my game. But how did it affect your game, if anything, when somebody was kind of like yakking a whole lot and being real physical with you?
Well, my high school coach didn't allow us to talk, so he never got a technical foul. So, you know, that was my game. I was as physical and as strong as anybody that I'd ever played against. So rarely did I ever play. I don't know if I've ever played against anybody who was stronger than me. So that was my game. That's how I was able to play against like some of the best players of my era, because I certainly wasn't as talented as they were. So I didn't say a lot, but you felt me physically. And you know, only thing I would say is at the beginning of the game, I walked with somebody and say, you know what? Every rebound's mine. You know, don't dive on the floor because I'm gonna get that ball. You know, so you know, I love physicality.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, I get hyped up when I see it, which is why Draymond is one of my favorite players, because he is one of the more physical players in the NBA. Like, you know, like I'll see guys now and that had NBA careers, but they'll remember when we played against each other in college, and they'll give me a nod because they know that those nonverbal battles are so important, because even if somebody outplays you, they know that they didn't intimidate you. They know that they had to play their best basketball against you. And I give my coaches all the credit in the world. And fortunately, I was a big guy, but I love the physicality. You know, I mean, based on where I grew up, nobody was going to punk me on the court. You might outplay me, but you certainly were not going to punk me.
Yeah.
And I knew how to box out. I was going to get every rebound. So, you know, when you better, you never think you can't win. The Warriors never, you know, you never think that you can't win when you're better. Never.
And we played in an era when physicality was a lot more allowed. So while somebody might have been quicker than you and maybe shook you and got to the basket and talked to you, yeah, Frank, what's up, man? You can't do that. Like the next time he came down there and there was a rebound, Frank's big elbow was going in somebody's chest.
Listen.
Love it.
When someone tries to get an offensive rebound on you and you box their ass out, guess what? The next time, they're not going as hard to get that offensive rebound. I don't care who they are. They're just not.
Yep.
Because that physical part of the game
was
so important.
Yep.
You know, man. Talking about physicality, I almost wish the Warriors had an old school enforcer like Oakley, because seeing Curry get pushed around and physical like he did, if the Warriors had that physical, old school enforcer, like, oh, this dude's messing with you on the timeout, it's like, okay, like he's gonna get an elbow somewhere, maybe even in the jaw, just to let them know, hey, you can't be doing that to our best player.
And it's clean basketball. I don't like dirty basketball.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah,
but
there's a way to be physical without being dirty, for sure.
I mean, they call edge players. I love edge players. I love them.
Me too.
Because those are the nuances of the game. We all know what it is because we follow the game. But the physicality of the game is profoundly important. It's part of the reason why Trace Jackson Davis is glued to the bench, because Curry got so disgusted and the players had given up on him to the point where, they just threw their hand and said, listen, you are too big not to play a physical brand of basketball. I don't care if you never make a shot. You should get every rebound. Now, this is my perception of what's going on. I hate that he's buried, but I understand the message that they're sending to him. Pope is nowhere near as strong as Trace Jackson Davis, but he kind of throws his body around a little bit and he flails around. He tries. Yeah. And that's what you got to do if you want to play.
I've got some theories on Trace Jackson Davis, but I'll just leave it at that. I want to bring up something you talking about trash talking. And I noticed that the Brooklyn Nets, even at the end of the game, when Steph was on the free throw line, they were yakking and then they would try to walk in front of him to delay the game. And like, oh, let's change. And I'm watching Steph's body language. He doesn't say anything. Like Draymond would be chirping at the guy.
Right.
He'd be saying, but what Steph does, he just makes a face and chuckles. Like,
it's what young teams do.
Yeah.
They have to try to do that.
Yeah. But you can't get to Steph.
It's not going to work against a guy like Steph.
You can't get to him. He just laughs. He's just like, man, you know what you're dealing with. I just thought it was I was glad that the Warriors just kept getting the ball to Steph at the end, because let him shoot the free throws, because that's what they always try to do. And I don't know, Lou, what was your overall take on this standings that we were talking about? We're talking about the 2 seed, 3 seed. Do you have a particular team that you would like to see the Warriors avoid in the first round, or do you have no concern on who they play?
I'll be 3 quick things. Los is trying to bring up one of Frank's favorite Warriors of all time. They need someone like Larry Smith. Oh, you guys remember Larry Smith?
Yeah, Mean.
He didn't care about anything. Mr. Mean was Mr. Mean for a reason. I personally think the Warriors and the Kings, because the Kings have figured it out. I know they lost last night at Denver, are probably going to be in the top 6. So I think between them, I've been just seeing a lot of faults with Houston, Memphis. They're not beating quality teams. And I think one thing with this standings right now is the Warriors still have another 8-game road trip. So they can't come home after going 4-1 against, let's remember, 4 of the teams have losing records. They did what they had to do. Good teams do. But, they're going to come against a good team. And I think it all comes down to the Warriors season is they got to beat the Pacific Division. They got to beat their division. Portland is not a layup. They're a good offensive team. They got to somehow figure out the Clippers, and they got to take care of the Kings. Because if they don't, remember they're 2-10 right now against their own division, so they're going to be the majority of the remaining schedule. You got to take care of the division, and if they do that, they don't have to worry about anything else. If they can, even be 500 against those teams, they'll wind up 4th or 5th. I think the one thing that you don't want to do is probably. I think Denver's probably just because they have a big man. I think the Warriors still have a problem going against a big man that can, really take over the middle. But I think the one thing about Butler, and I forgot who said it, this might have been you, Dan, with him on the field, he basically today twice bitched at Green saying, we need you back on defense. It doesn't work when it's 5-on-4. And after he complained during a timeout, I don't know if you remember, the Warriors sort of needed a hoop. And Green threw it from half court where Butler literally was pinning a guy. He got the ball, laid it up, and it was a 3-point. It was a huge turnaround. And I think one thing about Butler, which the trade that we don't really talk about, is really his smarts on the court. And as Frank would always say, all 5 got to work together to work in unity on the offensive part of the Warriors. And we really didn't do that. Because, Steph would do his thing and maybe Paz would do his thing. But when Butler's there, he's sort of like the corporal. And I think we sort of take for granted how smart he is. And the one great thing he does is he always goes to the hoop. So what happens is the defense goes, we got to make sure we follow Butler. And then what that does is Steph is getting the ball now, not where he's double or triple teamed. He's actually getting the ball because only one guy's guarding him. And if they get 2 guys, it's almost like the old San Antonio Spurs. If you see it, Steph gets it and he throws it if he's double teamed, and usually he'll go to Butler, and then it's like an easy layup. And instead of concentrating on the 3, we're actually taking shots that we can actually make, And I think it's just, it's a big turnaround because when Butler and Steph are on the floor, we have 2 real great minds that make our offense flow. And, it sort of reminds me of some of these old teams. Sort of like how the old Lakers were in the Celtics. Everyone had the same mind frame. Okay, guys, what are we going to do? How are we going to get the ball to make it the easiest shot? What we did is there was so much, we just kept shooting threes and hoping for threes to come in, and we weren't really playing team ball. But, I like it where, maybe Green needed someone to tell him, hey, dude, you got to get back on defense, dude. 5-on-4, 4-on-3 doesn't work, especially on the road. But I think, I think the Warriors have a huge homestand. Just got to play good. And like I said last week, and we can't have 2, 3, or 4 game losing streaks. You're going to lose. You just maybe don't mind 2 here and just make sure you're 500 the rest of the season. And I think worse, and the biggest part is got to stay healthy. I think, we got to stay healthy. I mean, Pods tonight, we only played 1 minute. You had a GP2 now with the mask. You just got to make sure, obviously Steph's got to stay healthy, and, the main ingredient of the Warriors, the rotation, we just got to stay healthy. That's sort of the key thing.
And to add to that point about Butler, when Kuminga's back, and once Jimmy gets a hold of him and gets into his head about what he needs to do and how to make the right play, when Jimmy has the ball on the wing, and if Steph is still double teamed or is not quite, open, JK, if they are overextending like Brooklyn was, if they're overextending, Jimmy's going to say, hey, back door, man, I'm going to bounce past to you and you're going to finish at the rim.
Yep.
When teams overextend like that, the Warriors don't have a ton of guys that can go to the basket and finish with authority. But when teams overextend like that, you backdoor them all day.
Nah, you do. And, it's interesting. Another name that we haven't, at least you guys might have mentioned this name, but the Warriors' supplementary parts probably deserve a little more credit than they're getting. I mean, we're hearing the name Quentin Post, but Moody has been reliable for about 10 to 15 games, averaging anywhere from 10 to 12 to 13 points off the bench, and his defense has improved. So, I always contend that what Moody is doing in year 4, he could have done tail end of year 2, definitely year 3, but whatever. He looks like a solid, dependable NBA player now who's playing more instinctively. Lou, you and I talked about how he needs to get better. And Lou, you've even mentioned about that. Instinctively, about his movements on the court. But I'm watching him now, and it's clear that he's being more and more receptive to coaching on that end. And when you combat that with his ability to make shots now and make free throws more consistently, the Warriors got a really nice 8, 9, 10-man rotation. That's reliable.
I think with Butler here, the rotation is now solid. Everyone knows the roles, and it's really been a huge effect, especially the last 10 games. Since Butler's been here, the rotation's been solid, where I think before Kerr didn't really trust people. Now he knows, and I think it's really helped Moody on the court. I also think, playing GP2 a little bit more. I mean, to me, he's been a super spark. He basically, his plus minus is always big, and it seems like every game he does either a backdoor or something where he gets an easy 4 points. It might not sound like much, but it's when he gets those hoops that matter. It's that part of the game, which I think
you just got to keep him from shooting threes too many. 1 or 2 a game, possibly, if he hits the first one. But if he doesn't hit the first one, GP2, it's okay from the corners, more or less. But anywhere else, not so great. But Bill says, give me Clifford Ray. He was a tough SOB. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. Clifford Ray was I remember that trade for Nate Thurman. And I thought to myself, they traded Nate the Great, man, number 42, for Clifford Ray. I remember thinking, guy was a stiff, I thought, with the Bulls. And then he comes over and they win the world championship the first year he's here with Rick Barry leading the way. That was
him and George Johnson.
Yeah, George Johnson. That guy could swat. That guy could block shots like no other, man. He was the original fly swatter. George Johnson. I used to love to listen to Bill King. Ball goes into Chet Walker over to Jerry Sloan. Sloan drives the hoop. Johnson swats it out of bounds. He was
nobody better than King.
Nobody. I can't even give Bill King justice trying, man. Holy Toledo!
Yeah, if you had courtside seats to tonight's game, you heard a lot of chatter. Mm-hmm. like Frank knows, man. There's a lot of talking going on down there. I miss low post basketball where there was a lot more talking going.
I want to ask Frank, because he's from New York, and you just watched Steph 2 games in the Garden, and then tonight against Brooklyn. The crowd loves Steph Curry. He seems to me, more so than LeBron, the most adored player around the league. And the visiting crowd, they were chanting MVP tonight. And what I want to ask you, Frank, is for a guy that is the league's most, what's the word I want to use? Marketable, biggest attraction that everybody wants to see. Why does the league give guys like Harden and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and many others more free throw attempts than Steph? When Steph drives and I'm not saying that Steph's sometimes he's not fouled, but the same goes with Harden and other guys. And then you see sometimes he'll get bumped and they don't call it. And 2 times on this road trip, he got knocked into the backcourt and they called backcourt violations both times. And he's the face of the league, in my opinion. Usually the benefit of the doubt goes to the superstar. In this case, they just let him kind of knock him around. What is that with the league when they give other guys? The kid at the Lakers, Reeves.
Austin Rivers.
Reeves. He gets more love from the refs than Steph.
Well, let me say this. To be fair, Steph is playing better. Steph went a month where he shot around 40%. And these referees are talking and they're getting critiqued every game, and it's a fluid situation. The NBA is really about stars. So these teams that have these young stars, they're talking to Adam Silver and the league and the referees all the time, saying, listen, my guy is not getting what he deserves. And the NBA is in the business of looking forward. So while the Warriors are on television as much as any NBA team, the NBA feels that it still has to continually build its stars. Now, Stephen Curry has thrown a wrench in that system. And now, you know what? He's getting more calls. Even though the ones he didn't get, he's getting to the free throw line more. So I hear the question that you asked me, but when you started talking, I started romancing about Steph being in New York. You got to think, I mean, Madison Square Garden sits on top of the subway, right? So you go from Penn Station up the stairs to the Garden. Across the street from the Garden is like the big hotel where people stay, and it's awesome. If you're a kid from New York, to go inside the Garden, you know, to see those theater lights. They're one of the few arenas that actually has theater lights like Broadway. You know you made it. And, it's one thing to be braggadocious, but to be a humble giant killer like Stephen is, he's revered, man. This dude is absolutely revered. I was talking to somebody in sports bar tonight, and I said, can you imagine being a kid waking up Christmas morning, and for Christmas, you know that your parents got you tickets to go see the Golden State Warriors play, but you got to wait until March? What a feeling. And then Steph performs like no other. He puts on a Jordan-type performance. You know, so
he's a showman. He's a showman.
Oh, my God. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's a freak. He's an alien. The half-court shot he made tonight, he knew that was going in.
And if you watch Steph off the ball, he may get fouled just as much, if not more, off the ball, grabbing and holding them because he outconditions everybody. So by the third quarter, they're so tired of keeping up with him, they have to hold him and they let it go. He's fouled so much off the ball, it's ridiculous.
I mean, if Steph was an actor and he was not, if he was one of these guys that just, just threw his hands up and fell over, he was like Pods. If Steph was like Pods, he would be getting calls all the time. But Steph's just too good for that. He's not gonna do that.
Right.
And he's just saying, all right, this is what, he knows he doesn't get the benefit of the call doubt on calls. And, we saw it the other night. Do you remember earlier this year, the Warriors were playing Utah? Steph shot a shot, and they hit his hand after he'd released it, and they called it incidental and waved it off. They gave the challenge. And the other night, the Warriors, same thing happened, and Kerr was over there telling the officials, and Steph was right there. Every time I get this all the time, and you guys don't call it. So I don't know. I think Steph, to me, if you consider how he's guarded 2 guys, 3 guys, trapping constantly, and what he does, and the shots that he has to take that are so contested, and he has to quickly get those off. To me, how do you not put Steph in that top 5 discussion?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying
that may be one of the big reasons why he's so loved, not only countrywide, worldwide, is because he's a superstar, and he could, sell a call, but he doesn't.
No.
And he's not 6'8", 260 pounds. He's not physically able to just go through people and get baskets and sell calls. He has to do it and work harder than most people. And I think that's why he has so much respect worldwide as a player. And not to mention, he's just a humble person, off the court. So you add all that together, that's why he's a main attraction wherever he goes.
I'm gonna tell you something. And like, my only connection to Stephen is, and I think I might have told the story. I think I told the story, maybe a different audience. But his college coach, Bob McKillop, was literally like one of my mentors, because Bob McKillop was a high school coach when I was in high school. So Bob McKillop was the first person to tell Stephen's parents, your son's going to be in the NBA. You don't know what you got. This kid is special. And Bob McKillop literally used to look up to my high school coach. My high school coach was a legend, Frank Morris, out in Long Island. But these little Catholic schools in this little community, all the coaches looked after everybody. So Bob McKillop actually helped a kid that I mentored from my neighborhood, help him get to Long Island Lutheran. He played for Bob McKillop and took him out of the ghetto, took him out of a bad situation. So I know the person that he is, and I know the nurturing that has taken place with Stephen. I give Stephen's parents most of the credit, and I give him most of the credit. But I get why he's humble, because that's how he's been coached. You know, that's how Bob McKillop coaches all of his players, to be humble, to be fundamentally sound, but to really, really accentuate the game and not the me phenomenon. You know, so I get it, man. I don't take anything for granted watching Stephen play. I think we're all lucky to be alive in this particular era, because we're going to hear people talk about some of the newer guys, and we go, well, you haven't seen Stephen Curry play. It's unbelievable to follow all of these great players, the Birds, the Larry, the Magics, the Jordans, the Kobes, the Stephen Curry, the LeBrons. We've had a lot of fun as basketball fans.
No doubt.
This has been a run.
Check this out, guys. That's this year. Right now, this year, top selling jerseys in the NBA.
Wow.
It's Steph 1, LeBron 2, the oldest guys in the league. And look at that. Giannis is 9. I don't even know who's 3. Oh, Tatum's 3, Brunson 4, Wimbiana 5. I don't know what's happening.
Steph is number 1?
Yeah, Steph is number 1 right there.
That's amazing.
Jalen Brunson 4 is a little bit shocking to me. He's a good player, but number 4 over Nikola, over
a lot of
Giannis,
people in New York.
over Giannis. Yeah, New York as a presence. There's been a lot of chatter nationwide, guys, about Steph moving up the GOAT chat. All time.
Shaq brought it up the other night.
Yeah. There's, I don't know. I don't quite myself have him up there. He's definitely top 10.
Right.
But I don't have him.
If he wins the title this year and gets his 5th, and LeBron's sitting on 4.
I always have guys that can play both ways higher. And that's why I have Kobe and Jordan so high. Because Kobe and Jordan can lock you down, and they can put 50 on you if they want.
I think he's in a different category. You know, I don't know what category he's certainly. Well, I'm willing to say that I can be open to a conversation of saying that he's one of the top 5 players. However you want to do the math. My math would be a little funny. But nobody, in my view, could ever be a better point guard than Magic Johnson. Never. Never. I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. Magic Johnson won 5 championships, and he was done at the age of 32.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He was done at 32. He'd already won 5 championships. People don't. If Magic Johnson played in this era, he would still dominate. This guy was unbelievable. I'm sorry fans didn't get a chance to see Magic play. A lot of them, because, a 6'9" guy who could dribble like that.
Definition of a point guard.
Oh my God.
Got everybody involved and made highlight plays after and played a game. Like, as much as I love Steph, I like that fast break type of basketball. I love 3-on-1s and slam dunks rather than go out to the wing and shoot 3-pointers any day of the week.
This is the greatest compliment I can pay to Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was the best point guard of his era, but he was also like a top 5 to top 7 power forward in the league. If he just played power forward, he would have been one of the top power forwards in the league. His post game was unbelievable. His interior passing, everything.
Kareem was hurt. I was just going to say, Danny, go ahead.
Yeah. They beat the 76ers. Kareem was out with a migraine. Game 6 in Philly.
Yep.
Magic plays the center, the 5.
19
And
it was
that back
19.
then, it was
19
not
scored
like today's.
42.
He dropped
Yeah.
42 and 17.
Yeah.
It
It
was
wasn't
19.
like today's
19.
positionless basketball. He played a true center. He played
19
the
years
post.
old.
Hey, Dan, and Frank, I wanted to bring up two things. If it wasn't for Magic, the Celtics would have won 10 straight.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Bird, the Lakers would have won 10 straight.
Great
NBA
point.
wouldn't even be without both of them. They both needed each other because basically they know they had to be their best to beat the other. And that's what
Amen.
made the NBA. And then one thing about Steph I wanted to bring up, and this goes back to college. If you guys followed him at Davis, he didn't get the calls there. If he did, they would have beaten Kansas when they lost in the Elite Eight. So let's
Great
remember
point.
that. But that's also one thing about Steph is he doesn't care if he doesn't get the calls because he knows eventually he's going to get you back. Unlike Dan's favorite player, LeBum right now, for the last 5 years, he complains about every single call he doesn't get, which actually ruins a lot of the flow. You know, Steph knows it, and he's been doing it since he got out of college. You know, he's small, but you know what? He's probably one of the top 3 shooters of all time. You know, it's tough because
Wait. You're
generations,
saying
but
Steph's one of the top
3 shooters of all time.
Is there a debate that he's the best? The greatest?
Well, I think it's tough because it's different now. I mean, you know, you got someone like who, if he didn't get injured, Pistol Pete, you know, was incredible back then. Dan, you probably too young to even know who Pistol
who
Pete
could
was.
shoot like Steph? Who could shoot like
Back
Steph?
then, they didn't have a 3-pointer. It wasn't around.
No,
you
yeah,
don't think
but-
Larry Bird would have adapted to the 3-pointer or some of these other guys?
But Steph, no, but I don't think there's even a debate that Steph's the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah.
I don't see how you
I
can
just think
even-
it's tough in the 6 and again,
It's
he
hard
wasn't
to
around.
it's hard to debate that, but Lou has a point. Like the 3-point line when Bird was playing was not really utilized that much.
and
if
it was
Bird-
only his
if
last
Bird-
3 years of his career. Dan.
If Bird at a younger age, more nimble, because he didn't need a lot of time to get his shot off either, and he was
Right.
6'9", maybe 6'10".
Right.
If Bird shot 10 to 15 threes a game, I don't know.
He could.
I would love to see Steph and Bird both in their prime have like just a shooting contest.
Let me just put it this way.
Bird would hold his own, let me tell you.
Let me just put it this way. 2 to 3 guys go after Steph when he's trying to shoot a 3-pointer. If you look at how about his shots where he gets it and he's not even set. He's taking it and he's leaning out of bounds and he's coming off of a screen and shooting. I don't think Larry Bird was a great shooter. Don't get me wrong. Loved Larry Bird. I've never seen a guy shoot like Steph and have to shoot it. I mean, look at the shot he made tonight at the end of the first half. That was not a lucky shot. People say that was he had his eye completely on the rim. He knew he had his release point and he practices that shot.
Steph has the advantage of he can shoot off the dribble or on the dribble, either or.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, for everybody that's under 35 years old, go watch a Magic and Bird, A Courtship of Rivals documentary. Larry Bird had a shot in a game, and I know Frank's going to know this, and I think Lou's going to, I think all 3 of you are going to know this. Larry Bird had a shot in the game where he was throwing a pass and it was almost out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the backboard,
Yeah,
in motion.
Yeah.
That's a game of horse.
Right.
In a game. We're not talking during warm-ups. During the game, he was throwing a court-like pass. He had to save it. He was out of bounds, guys. He shot it over the backboard. That thing didn't hit the rim. It was all net.
It was against the Hawks, wasn't it? The Hawks, maybe?
Oh, the Hawks
No,
game.
the Hawks is when he scored 71. Where even
the
the
Hawks game,
were
he
like-
went crazy.
That
The
was
Hawks
against,
bench was
it was
going
against
crazy.
Houston.
He
It
was
was
falling
against
out of bounds
Houston.
making shots.
Oh yeah, I know, but I knew it was a team that had
Yeah,
red.
it was Houston, but you remember the Celtics didn't always play at the Garden. I think they played like 4 in Hartford.
Yep, I remember that.
Remember they would play at Hartford. I'll tell you one thing about Bird too that maybe we didn't bring up, and Dan might not know this. he got bored during the season because he would shoot so well. So he played one game where he only shot left-handed, still scored 34. Bill Walton said it was the greatest thing he'd ever seen. He said he was bored and, they knew they were going to win. I think it was against Milwaukee. And he wound up every shot, he shot left-handed. And he still scored 34. Left-handed.
Bingo.
I mean, again, it's just different because of generation.
Again, don't get me wrong. Like, we love Steph. We know how great Steph is. But, like, you just can't discount the older players just immediately because
Frank will tell you how good Michael Cooper was, where Michael Cooper was one of the best defensive players, and he got into Bird and said, dude, you're going to have to work. And he even said, he goes, Cooper made me better, so I had to create better. And I'm not saying Steph isn't good. It's just different, the basketball game now than it was in, the early 80s. And I'm just, we might be overlooking other shooters that we are not thinking of.
You got Ray Allen. Reggie Miller was a great shooter.
I'll ask the three of you, when it comes to clutch shots at the end of the game to win a game, who has more clutch shots won between Curry and Bird?
I would say Bird.
I don't know, but who has more than MJ?
Nobody.
Who wasn't a great shooter?
Right. Clutch shots.
Wasn't LeBron.
When it counted, MJ was money.
Hey, LeBron doesn't even want the ball at the end of the game, I don't think, a lot of times. He misses a lot of shots at the end of the games.
Bird, it's an interesting thing about Bird. As great a shooter as Bird was, and he was awesome, he didn't have beautiful form. His form wasn't beautiful. It was he had his elbow was straight, but he kind of shot from his ear, and the ball went in. In terms of just like picturesque beauty, Stephen Curry's feet are aligned. He's so balanced. And I always talk about the nerve endings in his fingers. This dude's a science project, man. The rotation and the recoil, and it has a lot to do with your nervous system. And I know I'm getting inside baseball, but it has a lot to do with it. That's why he shoots free throws so well. Because when he's not tired and he's focused, he don't miss free throws. And it's because his nerves in the end of his fingers with his technique is something like we've never seen before.
No, trust me, Bill and everybody else. I still got Steph as the best shooter of all time. I'm not advocating that Larry is. Let's be clear.
Let's get on Mr. Salty. He's got him top 3. I want to hear definitively, Lou. Here's your chance at redemption. Come back and say what you really feel. Who's the greatest shooter of all time?
I don't think the NBA plays half the defense they did in the 80s and the early 90s. They're pretty soft. So I'm just saying, back then you had to go through 2 guys to try to get a shot off. Nowadays, you got to work for it, but they don't get in your grind. Just look at the Lakers Celtics championships where no open layups. You got pinned. They had fights. Everybody wanted to win.
Kurt Rambis.
Clothesline, everything. Yeah, Kurt Rambis. And it's just one of those things. It's a different type of game now. That's all I'm saying. Frank would know it in the 80s. It was different. That's all I'm saying.
If the NBA allowed hand checking like they did back then, the whole game, and to be as physical as it is, would Steph make all the shots that he does in the fourth quarter? Because we think he's getting physical and pulled around now. This is nothing. 80s and 90s basketball was very physical. If you went to the basket, you were getting forearms to the head. You have to take that. We have this conversation with NFL quarterbacks. This drives me crazy. Yeah. Mahomes and all these guys putting up stats, and they never are allowed to get hit. And then wide receivers are never allowed to get hit. And when they do, they get a fresh set of downs and they put up more statistics. So I'm always with the old school players when it comes to that. Again, I still think Steph is the best shooter of all time, but there are circumstances that you just can't dismiss a Bird or some of the old.
Let me just say this about Steph. If he played in the 80s, the way he runs the court, those guys he'd be getting open shots because those guys would just not even chase him. They'd be so
That's a great point.
tired. They
That
would
is a
just be
great
like,
point.
I ain't chasing this dude all
That's a great
around, man. Freaking rabbit running around the court. They would be just
No doubt.
wiped out.
No doubt.
They would be. I'll say this. I hated, as the point guard, I hated being hand checked. And I don't even how the NBA ever allowed hand checking because it pushes your movement away from the basket. And that's just completely takes away everything from the game of basketball. I don't know how the NBA even, I mean, it's just like, because kids, they start mimicking. Fortunately, college basketball really didn't allow it, and high school basketball didn't allow it, but you still got it, I mean.
By the way, a little birdie that goes to Warriors practices here and there has told me on more than one occasion, Chris Mullin and Steph Curry have had shooting contests, and Chris has won his share. Let's not forget about Chris Mullin being a damn good shooter.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I saw
when I got hand checked,
Kevin Durant in practice.
Yeah,
there's a video on YouTube of Mully and Kevin Durant in a shooting contest, and Mully beat him.
Wow.
Mullen could shoot.
Mullen could shoot. I'll tell you, when I got hand checked, and I don't know why guys don't even do this today, because I just take his hand, smack it, show the ref, hey, I don't let him keep hand checking me. I make the officials see, hey, look, he's not doing something is allowed, so I'm smacking his hand. And if he keeps doing it, the ref then calls a foul.
Yeah,
I don't know why
the players from that era. I didn't really like the style of play. I mean, aesthetically, I think you can go too far. But post 90s, in terms of how the game looked, I didn't like teams scoring in the 90s. I didn't. I mean, I wanted to see teams scoring not in the 120s, but somewhere between 108 and 118. You know what I'm saying? Because you can play defense, but you have to allow you stars to be stars. Some of the stuff that was allowed in the 8, like Rambis, Mikhail just like cow roping Kurt Rambis. That's not basketball. I mean, Isaiah Thomas, that was a tough era, man. And guess what? You might lose like one game check for like elbowing a guy in the face. I mean, it was brutal back then.
Frank, was it? I'm trying to test my memory here. Was it Doug Moe who coached the Nuggets 1 or 2 years, and they played the Warriors, and the final score, not in overtime, was like 152, 148.
Yes.
Yep.
What kind of offense was Doug Moe running to be that ridiculous of scoring?
Well, he had Alex English and he had Kiki Vandeweghe. And
Kiki.
I mean, those are two guys that get talked about. Kiki Vandeweghe was a bucket. And Alex English, he's a Hall of Famer, I mean,
Pure.
So, that was a different.
Hey, I figured out why Charles, I thought about this the other day. I saw something, I was watching something online, popped up his 50, what did he put up, 56 against the Warriors in the playoffs at Oakland.
Yep.
Game 2, whatever game it was. But he was getting, the Warrior fans were riding him. It hit me. This is why Charles hates the Warriors and has always ripped the Warriors and never given them credit for their run. He was always, he did not like Warrior fans from the way, that whole thing went in the playoffs. But I would say this. I would like to see Steph, because he still gets hand checked when he comes across the timeline and he's dribbling. If Steph would just start slapping dudes' hands away and point out, hey, he's not supposed to be touching me while I'm, what would the league do, you think? Do you think they would enforce that, or do you think they wouldn't call a foul on Curry, would they?
Yes, they would.
Would they?
Yeah.
For what?
Well, I mean, because I think a lot of these referees' egos are so big. It's like you're trying to kind of be performative to show me that there's a foul. I mean, it's okay for you to tell me on the side when nobody's watching, yo, the guy's hand checking me. You might want to watch this play. Okay, Steph, I got you. I watch it a little closer. But, these referees have big-ass egos, man. I mean, there's an influx of younger referees now, so it's not quite as bad as the Joey Crawfords of the world and some of these guys. But these referees become stars and legends in their own right. They make a hell of a lot of money, too. And they don't take a lot of stuff off players. So I don't think that they would like to see that.
George says it's a foul now. You can't do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's a pretty good discussion in the chat going on about the game of basketball now versus how it was a few decades back, about which is the better style of basketball. Yeah, to each his own. Some people like today's basketball, shooting 40, 50, 60 threes a game. I personally like the older way of basketball. I love fast break basketball. If you want to see,
wait a minute, you love Magic era, not the pre-Magic era.
No, I don't like that era.
The pre-Magic era was like 81-79 games.
No.
Final score 80 to 78, and it would be like nobody could score.
Hell no. That would mean that I love soccer and 1-0 games. No, not at all. I like scoring, but I like good fundamental basketball. I don't like just settling for 23-foot shots. I like the game in the post. I like big men that could dominate. I like the inside-out game. And like I said, I loved fast breaks. I loved when somebody would get a rebound, go the distance, somebody fill the lane. I wasn't a Laker fan, but I'm telling you, when the Lakers and the Celtics played, that was go to YouTube and watch some Lakers Celtics 80s basketball championship games. Listen to the crowd reactions and just watch the emotion played in that game. Watch Mikhail clothesline Rambis to get back into that series in physicality. That to me was more entertaining basketball than 60.
Bird and Kareem going at it.
Oh, loved it. And the Lakers blew out Boston by I think 30 game one. And
speaking of Lakers,
42.
Jerry West.
Yeah,
by
it was
42.
Clutch shot king, Jerry West. Bill says.
Jerry West.
Lakers won by 42 game one. Bird got interviewed and he goes, you know what? This team is really soft. I don't know if we'll probably get swept. And the next game was the clothesline and the Celtics won. And that was their turnaround, winning on the road. It was different.
Yeah, Michael Cooper was all in Bird's hip, and Bird just pushed back, and he went into the stands. It was theater. They were theater.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the old 30 with Cornred Maxwell? And
I watch all those old school basketball documentaries. Like I said, Magic versus Bird, A Courtship of Rivals. Watch that documentary.
They did all kinds of crazy things. They shut off they turned the alarm off on the hotel at 3 in the morning.
Yep.
The Lakers, the Boston Garden had no AC in those days. The old Garden.
And the showers were cold, so there's no hot showers. Every advantage in the book.
Yeah,
I think one of the comments I'm seeing, guys, is that there's better athletes now, and I agree. But are they better basketball players? There's a difference between a better athlete and a better basketball player. I don't care how fast you can run and how high you can jump. If you can't make a free throw and you don't know how to make fundamental plays, then you're not as good of a basketball player. And I think that people need to understand the difference in that. Yes, the athletes are much better and they're in much peak physical condition. But are they better basketball players when it's all said and done? I don't know.
Not necessarily, and probably not.
I don't know.
No, we grew up watching basketball. We didn't see some of the bonehead plays that you see in today's game. First and foremost, there wasn't as many teams, so there wasn't as many jobs. Some of these bonehead plays that we see were just not tolerated because you didn't have that many teams. So the best of the best of the best played. Now if you got a skill set, you might be able to hang around for a decade. If you can do something reasonably well, you don't have to win. There's some teams out there that, let's be honest, they're not trying to win. They are perpetually rebuilding. hoping to get a lottery pick, and it's just terrible.
All
It's
business.
terrible.
You know who was a great player, very underrated, and we had him right here in our backyard at Golden State, was Bernard King.
Oh my God.
Go, please. Like,
Hall
again,
of Famer.
the young people in this chat, like, who? Bernard King. Go watch his film and see how he played in the post and headshot. He could play. Damn, I hated when he went to New York. I hated when he went to New York. I was a huge Bernard King growing up. I think he started and Purvis Short came off the bench.
Yeah.
Warriors had some firepower back in the day. They just couldn't play defense.
He was awesome.
Good old days. And Sleepy going for 51 against the Lakers in the playoffs.
Lakers game 4.
Never. I'm told that's the loudest Oracle was maybe in a game or right up there. Sleepy Floyd going crazy against the Lakers.
I miss Oracle. I do.
I think he put up 27 on him.
Roracle.
That's right. I'm putting together something here for you guys, and I'm not quite done with it yet. I'm typing something, so I want to get your not quite there. So hold on.
Frank, did you ever go up against Peter Tebow from St. Mary's? Does that ring a bell?
I thought he went to Santa Clara.
Peter Tebow, is older than me, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay,
I knew Peter.
So I know
Peter Tebow. So it was Santa Clara. Okay.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. I'm telling you what was funny. I was watching. Remember, like in the All-Star games in the Bay Area this year. Remember they had like that segment that on NBA TV, Bay Area Basketball Heroes, the most recent one that they've done, and they talked about the Pro-Am, and the Pro-Am team was Antonio Davis, Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, Brian Shaw, and they had some other guys. Gary Payton. I mean, I played against that team, and that was fun. I was guarding Antonio Davis. He said that was the most fun that he had playing basketball on that team, playing in the San Francisco Pro-Am.
Those games were at Kezar, right, Frank?
Yeah, those games at Kezar. That was awesome.
I remember them.
That was, I mean, I had only been out here I had just kind of moved to the West Coast, but that was awesome to be among those emerging stars. And there is just I love Oakland players, and I love Oakland because it's very similar to New York. I mean, the essence of basketball, the love for basketball is very similar to New York. I mean, when you're in New York, you gotta play hard. When you're in Oakland, think about this. When's the last time outside of Mitty? I mean, San Francisco hasn't produced a basketball player in a long time.
It was all low down.
Yeah, I'm talking about a real player
in hoops.
In
no, but I'm saying Bishop O'Dowd in the 80s had a lot of guys. Brian Shaw.
Oh yeah.
And them, but they were the creme of la creme. They were the ones that could compete with the boys down south.
Right.
They were the tough boys.
I have a great memory in Oakland playing in a 3-on-3 tournament down in Jack London Square. I was 19 years old, and we were kind of, I was at the time the big man on our team, and we're losing, call a timeout, and I feel a hand on my shoulder, and it's Al Addles.
Whoa!
And Al Addles, I don't know why he picked me, but he kind of talked to me, and he showed me how to do an up and under. Mm-hmm. And I used that move for so long after that, because that move is so hard to defend, because big men love to block shots.
Right.
So when you show them the ball and you come up here, but you keep your pivot foot down, they're going up. You just go right up under.
Hey, I'll tell you a move. I'll tell you a move, guys. I was at Rick Barry's basketball camp in the summer '75. I think I was going into 8th grade, and Jim Barnett was there, and he taught me the rocker step. You know the rocker step?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a fabulous move. See, don't
pull nothing.
You're here with your back foot. You're going back forward. You're moving that. You got your right foot. You can explode forward. You can explode back. You could go up.
Yeah.
And I used to come back and then look like I was going to go up and shoot and then take off. And that one move used to get me, because nobody defended. If you weren't taught fundamentals, you weren't learning the finer points in the game, you were so much better than the people you were playing against. But here's what I got for you guys. You got to take one player off this team. Who you taking off?
Is that a trick question? There's 2 guys you can take off and you'd still feel good.
Well, I'm just saying you got to remove one of the. That's 10 guys that.
Yeah,
some
and
people
two
might
of
have
them you can take off, so it's pretty easy. I mean, what do you think, Frank? I think it's pretty easy. There's only 2 guys you need to take off.
Wow, man. Wow.
It's not easy.
I mean, I'll probably take me with my knowledge, and it's going to be disrespectful to Wilt, but I would take off Shaq and Wilt. Well, maybe Duncan and Shaq.
I was going to say, for me, it'd be Duncan and Shaq.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not taking Kareem off. That's for damn sure.
Nope.
No,
that ain't happening.
I'm not taking MJ, Kobe, Magic, Steph, Kareem, Bird. I guess LeBron. I shouldn't let my bias take over. I'm not a big LeBron fan. When I watched a video of him shooting 10 air balls from the free throw line. I'm sorry. A guy that shoots air balls, that I get 1 or 2 in your career, but 10, that's just one video. I don't know if there's more, but I think I would, if LeBron was on my team, I'd probably love him. Okay. But because he's been on the arch
Which
nemesis,
LeBron?
huh?
Which LeBron? I mean, LeBron at 35 and over, LeBron at 25 to 35, or LeBron from 18 to 25. I don't know if you love the LeBron from 18 to 25. I don't think you love him a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, today's LeBron, he's tough to not like if he's on your team, man. The guy's amazing. He's just, I don't know how he does it.
A great leader at this point.
But I think what I don't like about LeBron is the complaining to the officials and the kind of what I call it. There's some definitely doing a lot of manipulating and falling. I saw it last week. He threw a pass and it got deflected, and they called a foul because LeBron went down in pain, like he got hit in the ribs, and he was like seething in pain, and he's on the floor. And then Ty Lue challenged it, and they never hit him. They didn't touch him. And it's that kind of stuff that bugs me, because it's like you're taking the game and trying to use your name, your
power.
Your power. Yeah. You're using your power to affect the game, and nothing happened. And I think that's the part, you never see a guy like Steph denigrate the game, and that faking the injury to get a call, and it worked, but if it wasn't for the challenge, nothing would have happened. So,
he was before my time, but I'm a student and I study the game a lot, and he's not on this list. But damn, Oscar Robinson was a beast.
Yeah,
man, he was a beast.
Yeah, he gets disrespected more than anybody.
I agree. I agree.
Does.
He never gets discussed in the top 10, and he could do everything.
I mean, I met Oscar Robinson one time, and when you're a young kid and you love the game and you're wide-eyed, you have like bigger than life dreams and imaginations of your heroes. And I met Oscar Robinson with Jerry West. And Jerry West and Oscar Robinson, well, I actually met Oscar Robinson before when I was a young kid. He was doing like some promotion at A&S, and then I met him later on when he was with Jerry West. Both times that I met him, he was kind of on edge, and kind of wrapped pretty tight. And Jerry West was kind of like that also. And I understand, as I got older and I started to understand what these gentlemen had gone through. You know what I'm saying? Oscar Robinson went through a lot in Indiana or where he grew up. I mean, he really did went through a lot of crap. And I think there's a part of him that probably wishes that, damn, why couldn't I have been born 20 years later? Because you're not going to tell Oscar Robinson that he's not as good as Michael Jordan. You're not going to do that. You're not going to tell him that he's not as good as Kobe Bryant. Because Oscar Robinson, do the research, look at the tape. Yeah. This dude was a 6'6" point guard who scored 30 every game.
Triple-double machine.
His final season of his career, I believe age 37. 30.5, 10.1 assists, 9.7 rebounds.
I mean, how could you not be a little jealous and mad? Because those guys started the NBA.
Yep.
Started
all right. Here's I know Frank's gonna know this. Let's see if Lou or Los knows this. What college did Oscar Robinson go to?
Cincinnati.
You got it.
Yes.
You got it.
Yes.
What college?
They didn't call him Big O just because his name started with an O. He was called Big O because he earned the reputation of being incredible. So
yeah. What college did Wilt go to?
Come on, we know that. Everybody knows that.
Let's see.
The most overrated Jayhawk of all time, KU.
That's right, Kansas.
All right. Okay. Well, let's see if
Jerry West. I love college.
Jerry West. What college?
Mountain Mama.
Yeah, Mountain Mama, West Virginia. Take me home.
That's right.
What college did Kobe go to? Trick question.
He didn't.
There you go.
College of Kobe. College of.
Where did his dad go to? Jelly Joe Bean Bryant.
LaSalle.
You got it. I feel like I'm dealing with Larry Krueger here, the guy that knows
college basketball trivia. Frank's gonna smoke us for sure.
Warriors drafted Joe Jelly Bean Bryant.
I didn't know that.
First round.
Yeah.
And along the same lines of Oscar Robinson is you can't forget about Julius Erving. You can't.
No, hey, how about some of these other guys?
Doc was before Air Jordan. Doc was filthy.
How about guys we didn't talk about on this list that I didn't put up? You could have added Hakeem Olajuwon. You could have put Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. How about Bill Russell? We didn't talk about. I saw that in the chat.
The Iceman.
Jerry West. George Gervin. Yeah, the Iceman. The original. The ABA. The original ABA. Do you remember? The ABA, the teams. Let's see if who can name the teams from the ABA that came into the NBA.
Oh God.
Let's see. There are. Denver is one.
San Antonio
is two. Spurs.
Indiana.
Indiana Pacers. That's right. There's
job.
one more. Tonight.
Brooklyn.
Tonight. Yep. It was the New Jersey Nets.
Yes.
Yeah, the New Jersey Nets. And
yeah, those are the four teams that.
No. It actually was the New York Nets. It
was the Net. Yeah, but it was the Nets. Yeah. It was the Nets. It was.
Yeah,
they were the New York Nets, and that's right.
They played at the Long Island Coliseum, Nassau Coliseum, right down the street from my house.
Wow. Yep. The old ABA. You had stars in that league. You had Gervin, you had Irving, you had Rick Barry, you had
Well, first of all, you had the ball. That was different. And they were the first ones to actually do the dunk contest.
yes,
And
and
the
the
three-point
3-point play.
NBA.
Yeah.
They
And
did
the
the 3-point play.
Yes.
Yeah,
They did 2 to make 3.
That's right.
3 to make 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bonus
Yeah.
program when you foul. Yeah, if you ever want to see something, go to the old ABA slam dunk contest. Pretty crazy stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, you had Dan Issel. He came from the ABA with
Denver.
the Nuggets. Artis Gilmore. I think he was. All right, there's a guy. All right.
And then he went to Chicago.
Artis
Alongside
Gilmore.
NBA team.
Frank,
Yeah.
what college did Artis Gilmore go to?
Jacksonville.
Jackson State, was it?
No,
Yeah, I think it was Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, they changed the name, but it's today's like Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get another trivia.
You're not going to stump Frank on college basketball.
I'm going to stump Frank here. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm not looking
So
these up.
say some scrub that's like 12th on the bench. You might get him.
If I didn't see him
right.
play, I probably wouldn't know. But
What college did? Oh, let me look at my list here. I'll just look at my list because I don't know what college. All right.
I forgot. I used to know where every player in the NBA went to college.
Okay. Now here's one.
Go ahead.
I don't know the answer to this. I should, but you're going to have to get this. Karl Malone. Where did he go to college?
I know that.
Tech.
Oh, that's right. Louisiana Tech. That's right. Now I
would've
remember.
known. I would've
Now,
got
as
that.
soon as you said it, I remember. All right. Okay. Kevin Garnett.
There you go.
I got it. Texas.
He didn't go to college.
Oh, no,
never
that's
did go. He
Durant.
was high
That's
school.
Durant.
That's
Yeah,
Durant.
Yeah.
He didn't go.
That's Durant.
High
All
school.
right. This is an easy one. You guys should remember. Shaq.
LSU.
There you go. Kareem.
UCLA.
CLA.
I mean,
KD. You just said it. All right. Here's one. Hakeem Olajuwon.
Houston.
There we go.
Fly Sam Jam.
That's my era.
I got one for you, Dan.
Where did Quentin Daly go to college?
USF.
USF. Here, Dan.
Nobody knows about Quentin Daly.
Dan.
I do.
Larry Bird, before he went to Indiana State, where did he attend?
He attended Indiana.
Indiana.
Yep, he did.
He was a Hoosier, and he left
was.
Indiana
Got
State.
homesick.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Terre Haute. From Terre Haute. You remember Winford Boynes, Los?
Who?
Yeah. He went to Rutgers.
Winford Boynes.
He went to Rutgers, I believe, didn't he?
No.
Where'd he go?
Lose that. We talked about this the other night. Winford Boynes. James Hardy. Bill Cartwright.
They were all USF.
All of them all came together. One big class. That was.
I was a big John Haywood fan of USF at that time.
That was when the Cardinals had some big money. When the brothers were paying, slipping money
and the Dons still have an arena that only holds about 6,000 people. Come on.
Does that piss you off?
Man, there's high school gyms bigger than that.
I haven't been there. I haven't been inside since the renovation, but on television, it still looks the same.
It is. Only the renovation is a private restaurant, and then they have seats up top. I go to about 8 games a year.
Wow.
I love old USF basketball in the 70s.
Why can't they go to like Salesforce guy and like shake a couple of hands and get them to there's enough money.
And then
to build a
Frank, the worst thing is they take the home field advantage. So when they play Gonzaga, they play at Chase, and they maybe get 8,000 people. It's horrible. Right. There is no advantage, and then of course they can't hold Gonzaga's jock.
Yeah,
Gonzaga always smokes them, but it happens because you go into a big arena, and Gonzaga is used to that. USF isn't.
Yeah. Has anybody come out of Gonzaga and been a really good pro? Or have they all kind of been?
John Stockton.
Okay, but a lot of them have been busts, huh? A lot of high draft pick from Gonzaga has been kind of busts.
Adam Morrison was a big bust.
Injuries.
There's some solid Gonzaga players, but
solid.
But nobody's become a superstar.
Right.
All right. Here's one for Frank. from Mark Graves. I bet you that Frank knows this, Mark. Here it is. One for Frank. My buddy always got me on this. Where did Norm Nixon go to college?
Duquesne.
He nailed it. I had to look it up myself. You got it.
Damn.
I was
Man.
in love with his ex-wife, Babe.
Yes.
Alex, I'll take college basketball for 800, please. Ain't no joke if he was on Jeopardy, man.
Now you got me looking this up. Norm Nixon ex-wife.
Oh God.
That
was in the LA
Allen.
Lakers documentary.
Oh,
It's
Debbie Allen.
No, her sister.
Debbie Allen's his wife, I think.
Oh, I
married
don't
her.
know.
Oh no, this is ex-wife. I don't know who his ex-wife is. Debbie Allen is his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let
Not
me
a
see
long
if I
time.
can. Let me see if I can do a little more college hoops players. Let's see. Where did Kevin Love go to college?
UCLA. Come on, 1 year.
I mean,
About
anything in the past,
Kyrie. Kyrie.
okay.
Where did Kyrie go?
anything in the past 20
Overrated
years,
Duke.
Duke.
Anything
Oh, I
in the
got
past
Duke in
20
his
years,
final
you know.
final game, they blew a 12-point lead and got blasted by 18.
All right.
I was at the game against Arizona.
I got one
Oh,
for you.
I got
scored
one
4
for
points.
Rick Barry.
Miami.
You knew it. Dang it.
I got one for Frank. Andrew Toney.
Great shooter.
Oh.
No.
Look, Dan.
I went to like Southwest Texas State or something like that. It's something like that.
I mean, I haven't looked it up. I believe you.
Oh, you want me to look? Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just
No,
randomly
he went to like
For the
Southwest
Philadelphia
Louisiana
76ers.
State or something like that.
talk about a guy that could get hot fast.
Yeah.
I think it's in I think it's,
He went to University of Louisiana.
yeah, exactly. But at that point, it was like Southwest Louisiana. It wasn't quite.
Hey,
Louisiana
look at
yet.
that. He just got that. We got that. Miami. I just asked that.
Yeah.
There we go.
And where did the great Moses Malone go, Dan?
I don't think he played in college. High school only.
Good
He went
job,
high
Dan.
School only.
Good job, Dan.
There we
Got
go.
that. Yeah.
Where did Warrior bus Tellus Frank go to?
Tell us, Frank. Tell us.
Western Kentucky.
Damn, he's good.
Yeah,
I've never
Yeah.
even heard of Tell
Really?
Frank.
yeah, he did.
Dang.
I told you when I was, when I was like 11, 12, 13, I knew where every player went to college. And I have like, for like certain things, I have kind of a photographic memory.
And
for
Frank, do you think that was because they always went 4 years and you'd follow them, and then when the tournament happened, you knew what team they were on?
It's a good point.
You know, because those guys usually were there all 4 years.
that was
difference.
part of it. But I also like, I don't know. I think because when I was a kid, I had a stuttering problem, and so I wasn't as verbal, but I could look at things and create like a picture in my mind, particularly things I was interested in, like sports
Yeah.
and players. And it's crazy, but I remember things like that.
What
All
was
right,
all
I
of-
got one for Frank.
what-
This one's
hold-
going to be a good one for Frank. I bet he gets it because he grew up in New York, and this guy's a legend in New York. 1969, Game 7. Willis Reed. Where did he go to college?
Creighton.
No. You
Oh no,
missed.
Grambling. No, he went to
Yes.
Grambling, right? Yeah.
Grambling. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of somebody else. He went to Grambling?
Yeah, he went to Grambling.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was all of your favorite college basketball team growing up? And Lou, you can't say Arizona.
Mine was Georgetown.
My college?
College
My
basketball. What was your go-to team that you loved?
Georgetown.
The Hoyas, Patrick
Love-
Ewing.
Love Georgetown.
Love the way they play.
Growing up or
Yeah, growing up.
because if you wanted me to tell you my 30s, it was UConn when I lived in Connecticut.
No,
And-
growing up, like teenager, early 20s.
Growing up,
It was
Orlando,
USF.
Woolridge,
It was
Kelly
USF.
Tripucka, John Paxton.
Notre Dame. You. Yeah.
Notre Dame didn't really have.
They never could win it with
San
Digger
Francisco.
Phelps.
What about the Dons? How can you not like
who?
the Dons?
Yeah.
They were the number one team in the country.
Following the San
Big time
Francisco Giants, do nothing.
If you want to see if you want to see a great college basketball movie, watch Glory Road about University of Texas El Paso.
Miami,
really
Bill.
That is
We talked about that the other day.
I saw it. It's really good.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Really good movie. I mean, I got family from El Paso, so it kind of hit home for me.
Yeah. Great
All
movie.
right, we got a couple more here. How about Clyde the Glide? Where did he go to college?
Houston.
God, we've already mentioned it.
No, he didn't.
Houston.
No,
Clyde
the Glide. I said Clyde the Glide Frazier. I didn't say Drexler.
I never heard Clyde the Glide Frazier. It's always Clyde the Drexler.
Southern Illinois.
You got it. You got it, Frank.
Yeah.
Man, Frank's not.
Have you ever heard of Frazier called that? Clyde the Glide Frazier? It's always Clyde the Glide.
You know who else who went there, right? You know who else went to Southern Illinois? Doug Collins.
That's right.
Doug.
How about Kevin McHale?
Minnesota.
There we go.
Minnesota. Yeah.
All right.
Since we're on college basketball, how about we finish with this? Put together real quickly your starting 5 all-time college basketball team.
Okay, last one. Dave Cowens. Where did he go to college?
Florida Union.
Close.
Well, Florida. It's Florida. Yeah, something like Florida Union. No, he didn't go to Florida State. Oh, did they rename it at that point?
Maybe it was renamed. It's
no. I think it was He went to he went to Florida Union. It was an NAI school he went to. It was NAI. He didn't go to Florida. Maybe I don't think he went to Florida. He might have transferred, but he went to NAI school.
There's some guys that were fantastic superstar college basketball players that didn't quite make it in the pros. That's why I say your favorite college all-time college basketball team is going to be a little bit different from your all-time pro team, for sure.
So what are we doing? All-time what?
Just kind of rattle off like some of the best players that were college basketball players.
Who is yours?
You have to do. Can like a big guy play like 2 power forwards?
Yeah.
That weren't great. That weren't great pros. Just college guys.
Yeah,
the best college players.
Yeah, like Kareem is easy to say for UCLA, but he was a great pro too. So I'm gonna go Bill Walton because he was a great college basketball player and he was pretty good. He was injured a lot.
Yeah,
he would maybe be my center if another one comes to mind. I mean, again, I'm saying somebody that was really dominant in college, but they were not so dominant at the pro level. Bill Walton would be my center.
Pete Maravich still holds the scoring record and only played 3 years because freshmen didn't play.
I would say I got 2. I would say Bill Bradley, and Bill Bradley was number 1 player in the country, and he went to Princeton.
Yep.
And I would say Dr. Duncanstein.
Oh, Derek Dawkins.
No.
You're talking about Louisville guy, Derek Griffin.
Yes. Yeah, I would say him. I mean, he was the deal in college. He had a pretty good pro career, but he wasn't a superstar.
You know who was really good in college at small forward and didn't quite be a superstar was Larry Johnson, Grandmama at UNLV.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a player at UNLV.
Grandmama. Oh yeah.
He was a pretty good pro, but man, he was one hell of a college. Now, I mentioned on a previous show how much I love Len Bias. Oh my God.
Oh, I got another center for you besides Bill Walton that was a dominant college, didn't do much in the pros. How about Ralph Sampson? He played for the Warriors for a while.
Yeah.
Ralph Sampson.
Yeah.
At Virginia. He was
used to always run up court with his thumbs up.
He did.
Yeah.
He lost 3 games in 3 years. 3 games.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
Okay, I got another.
When he went up against Georgetown, boy, that was a high ratings game. Virginia versus Georgetown.
Lou's going to remember this guy because he loved Notre Dame basketball. I remember this guy knocking out UCLA. Austin Carr. That was a guy that was a great college player.
Yeah.
Not much in the pros. He played for a while, but he wasn't. But Austin Carr,
A guard that comes to mind is, again, great college player, pretty good pro player, Stephon Marbury, Georgia Tech.
Yeah. He was great.
could play.
Oh, yeah. I got one.
He could
I
fill
got
it up.
one.
Melo was amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
Melo.
I
Carmelo
got
Anthony.
one here.
He was a number 2 pick after LeBron, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one for you guys. This guy was unbelievable college player. I think he was player of the year in college. See if you know who I'm talking about. Played at Kansas. Led him to a national championship.
Danny Manning. Thank you.
Yep. You got it. He was
The
incredible
luckiest
in college.
championship of all time because Arizona's team lost to Stacey King and Mookie Blaylock, where Steve Kerr and Sean Elliott were 5 for 27. We would have blown out Kansas by 50. We were.
You know who was on also on
Kansas
that
got
Kansas
lucky.
team? My brother
Scooter.
coached him.
Scooter Berry.
My brother coached him at De La Salle. Scooter Berry.
Scooter. Yep.
I'll give you another one. How about Wayman Tisdale?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He
That's
could
a
fill
good
it
one.
up. He could fill it up in college.
How about
Diane.
Christian Leitner?
Great college player.
Great
Not much
college
of a
player.
pro, right?
Definitely one of the top 10.
Yeah, one of the best.
A lot of pressure.
Oh, this was the original Luke Skywalker guy. One of the greatest college basketball games I ever saw. The North Carolina State Wolfpack had a center by the name of Tom Burleson, but their big player, the guy that could jump through the roof, was David Thompson. Played with Denver Nuggets for years.
Oh, he
But
had
he
a
was
ridiculous
88 too.
vertical.
44-inch vertical back
Yeah.
in the 70s. I mean, think about that. 44-inch vertical.
Thompson
guy-
against Iceman was always a big game.
Wasn't
against David Thompson.
Wasn't Tiny Archibald a hell of a college basketball player?
Oh yeah.
Nate
yeah.
Archibald.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, pro. Yeah. There's a ton of them that they were just superstar college players. And
Ryan says
who was the
Curry, but
center-
we're talking about guys who weren't like legends in the NBA.
Yeah. Purvis Ellison, center from Louisville.
Yeah.
Real good player.
Very
Nervous
good.
Purvis.
Yep.
Even if you look at the Warriors, I mean, Chris Washburn was a hell of a player at NC State.
He was.
He could play. That was not a bad
Listen.
pick, but he was very immature.
Listen, I played against Washburn before he. Kind of as he was prepping for the draft. I played a lot against him at the PAL on Webster Avenue in the Bronx, which is about a half a mile from Fordham. So during the off season, we would go down there and play on Webster Street, and Gus Williams and Ray Williams, that outfit was representing him. So they brought him to New York, and we would just kind of play with him every day. There was a lot of good college players around that area, and they used to feed him like White Castle. I was like, wow, there's some troubling signs going on here because he needed more nurturing, and it was unfortunate because when he got to Oakland with all of the trappings, he never really had a chance. But in terms of basketball,
He could play.
he's the best big man I've ever played against. I played against him. I played against Brad Daugherty. He's better than Brad Daugherty. I saw him kill Brad Daugherty. And I played against Sam Perkins.
Oh,
He was better than Sam Perkins. This dude was a 6'11" ballerina. His footwork, his instincts was awesome. This dude was an incredible talent. And because of non-basketball related issues, he never had a chance.
Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's really sad.
yeah. I thought when the Warriors got Washburn, I thought, wow, this guy's
Frank.
gonna be-
Yeah.
Being from New York, how huge, and he's still huge this day, was Pearl Washington.
Oh my God.
I mean, people on the West Coast never heard of him. I mean, but he was New York basketball. I mean, when he committed to Syracuse It was like a celebration.
Dwayne Pearl Washington.
He was Robbie Benson, a one-on-one.
One-on-one, yeah. Great movie.
Yeah, I mean, we
Robbie Benson.
we scrimmaged boys twice. All right, we scrimmaged boys my junior year, and my senior year at St. Agnes and at Boys High in Brooklyn. And Pearl and I got into it a little bit, but we marveled at how good. This dude was 6'3", 195 pounds in high school. Low handles. You couldn't stop him. He was just a man playing among boys. He was great, man. He was awesome.
when you see the legend of
we
the
still
Big
beat him, by
East,
the way.
yeah, I mean, it was just amazing how big he was, and of course, he made some famous shots in the Big East tournaments. But and the guys, Gary Radnish was decent. He wasn't a great college player. Come on, guys. He was a better broadcaster than that. Kelly Tripucka never lived up to the hype. Billy M. So Danny Ferry, there's a good one. Danny Ferry was a great college player, just never made it.
Yeah, Danny
it's
Ferry,
such a different level. Yeah, great call.
How about another old timer? Played with the Knicks. Trying to remember his name. White guy.
Did he become a governor?
No, you're thinking Bill Bradley. I'm thinking of Jerry Lucas. Jerry Lucas.
Yeah.
Didn't he play with the Knicks?
Yeah, he played with the Knicks. That was kind of before my time. He went to Indiana, right?
Ohio State. No, Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, right. He played with Bobby Knight, didn't he? Play with Bobby Knight at Ohio State?
I believe he did. Yeah, he was.
Grant Hill could have been so much more if he didn't have the injuries that he did. Grant Hill was one hell of a player.
And he was still a monster.
Still a monster, even with those injuries. But God, if he had been fully healthy.
A monster.
How about Lionel Simmons?
He was good. Played against him a lot.
Yeah.
He went to LaSalle. He was good.
Got a question for you there, Lou. Ryan says, who's better college career, Steph or Jay Williams?
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah, it's Jay.
Jay, if he didn't get injured, you don't know how good he might have been.
He would have been awesome.
At the Bulls? Would he get hurt on a motorcycle or something?
Yeah. Yep. That was terrible, man. Sad. That kid
was
like good.
I think it was either a year or a year after when the coach of it was Sacramento lost a player, Chicago lost a player, guys, being dumb in the offseason. You got to remember Duke, guys. It was UNLV was so good, and Duke knocked them off. I mean, Duke, I think, UNLV went undefeated one year, and then they lost the next year. And you're speaking of college players, we forget about a former Warrior who was a great college player. He was a decent Sacramento King. He never really made it as a Warrior. But what's the name of the Fab Five?
Oh, yeah.
Chris Webber?
Chris Webber. Great college
he did
player.
Pretty. He did pretty good.
He's in the Hall of Fame, so
Yeah, he had a pretty damn good.
Listen. There were 5 years that Webber played in Sacramento that he made the All-Star team 5 times, and he was a top 10 player in the league. He was and I'm gonna tell you something that was most impressive about Chris, and I covered the Kings during that time. Chris Webber played his best basketball against the best teams in the NBA in the playoffs. He played extremely well in the playoffs. And I will always remember that because, he was kind of dubious for some of the things that had occurred. But when he got to Sacramento, he got his stuff together and put together a pretty darn good career.
Big recuperation, sure.
Yeah.
I was hot when the Warriors.
I'll tell you the Warriors when they won the championship in '75. I loved it. They had a couple of young guys. They had then Keith Wilkes from UCLA. Jamal later changed to Jamal, but they also had a player from USF named Phil Smith. And
love Phil Smith.
His dad was a Muni driver.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you something about Phil Smith. He was a guy that would just had this unbelievable post-up jumper within 15 feet.
Yep.
And he just was lights out. Phil
He
Smith.
was. He was so
And then
good.
they also had Gus Williams, the guard from USC. They drafted those three guys within like 2-year period. Wilkes, Williams, and Phil Smith.
Yes.
And that team was, and then Gus Williams ended up moving on to Seattle. But I always thought Phil Smith never got kind of the news that he didn't get the love that he should have after he retired. The Warriors just kind of forgot about him.
Right.
Because he was a great player. He just didn't play that long.
Played about
but
7
he was,
8 years. 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah.
He was just so
He was smooth.
consistent. He was smooth, man.
Yeah.
The ball get down to – I used to listen to the games with Bill King. When Phil Smith, he'd go, Smith, dribbling in the corner. He pulls up, jumper, good. He kind
of reminded me of Phil Chenier, although Phil Chenier was better.
Yeah, and they played in that championship that season. That was the NBA title.
Yeah.
But
Bullets
who reminded me a
Cow
little
Palace.
bit of Phil Smith later on. Not that they didn't style. I mean, Phil Smith, I think he was about a 6'4" guard, roughly. Phil Smith, 6'3", 6'4" guard.
6'3".
He wasn't huge. But Sean Livingston later on. Sean Livingston, if you want to ask the players that were the key to the Warriors championships in that era, that run, Steph won, Draymond, Clay, 2A, 2B, whatever you want to put them, Andre, 4. I got Sean Livingston as the 5th most important player on those championship teams. There was no drop off as far as, this non-Steph minutes. He would come in and he would just run the offense and nobody could stop that dude within 12 feet when he pulled up on you. He was 6'7" and he had a high shot.
Mm-hmm.
He was like releasing that thing from 7, 8 feet, and he was just so good.
Speaking of,
I don't want to leave before we wrap up. I want to, unless you guys can be here for a while.
No, we're getting ready to go out of here. We're like out 45 minutes over our time.
Yeah. One quick one, guys. Since we're speaking old school basketball, Warriors basketball, I was just out of curiosity looking up JB Carroll's stats. Man, he put up some pretty good numbers. What was the rap on him? He just didn't play defense?
Lazy.
Is that what it was? He just didn't get in shape? Because he was 22, 24, and 8, like almost for 4 or 5 straight
He was
years.
All-American out of Purdue, but his problem was he wouldn't even come back on defense. He would sit at half court, cherry pick.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that trade really set the Warriors franchise back. They could have kept Robert Parrish and drafted McHale.
Yep.
Yeah.
That got him.
Yeah,
but anyway,
bad decisions hurt the Warriors for a lot of years.
Now they're making up for it, man. They got an owner that is committed to winning.
Starts at the top.
Man, I'm telling you, I ranked the owners recently in the Bay Area on Twitter, and I put Joe Lacob 1, Jed York 2, the owner of the Sharks 3, and then I put the owner of the Giants last. I mean, who's ever running that? They do not. I mean, the desire to win that Joe Lacob displays and Jed York, I mean, that's really a blessing if you're a Bay Area sports fan and your owner is wanting to win, like more so than anything, more so than the fans. That's what the Dodgers ownership group has, the LA fans. They got owners that are so committed to winning, they don't care about the money. And when you get an owner that is more concerned about the bottom line than actually winning, it's time to – I just wish there was a way to some kind of litmus test that if a team – I mean, if a team hasn't won or competed for 10 years straight, there ought to be some kind of rule where the owner has to give up control of the team if they've gone 10 years without really even, let's say they haven't got to the playoffs, or, there should be something that sports can do, commissioners, because that would put owners like, dang, I better do something or I'm going to lose control of my team. There, no team should go 10 years in any sport without making the playoffs.
I mean,
agree or disagree?
Well, I mean, these are businesses. I mean, these are not like toys that people play with. I mean, they spend a lot of money, to buy these teams. So, I mean, I think you need bad teams also. You really need horrible owners, because if everybody would, I mean, you do. You would never have any dynasties, and I mean, hope. What's the analogy? Hope springs eternal. Is that it?
Right.
I mean, the Warriors had Cohan for a long time, and I'm gonna tell you something about Chris Cohan. He didn't really like basketball. He didn't really care. But you know what? He was great in the community. I mean, the Warriors, their nonprofit organization, did great work historically throughout all of these ownership groups. The Warriors nonprofit organization has always done incredible things. So, you're going to have horrible teams. You just are.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess that works for the world. I mean, there's horrible restaurants. There's horrible business people. There's horrible loan officers. There's hey. No, that's what makes Lowe's so good, right? I mean, that's why you got to call Flex Funding, man. You got to give Lowe's a call at
there you go.
Flex Funding, because he's not a horrible loan officer. He'll fix you right. So if you got a need for a loan, make sure you give Lowe's a call. Flex Funding, 925-250-4894. He'll set you straight.
Now, do you do commercial, residential, Lowe's, or you do it? What do you do? Both?
One-stop shop. I can do almost everything. Yeah.
And interest rates are going down now, I guess, huh?
A little bit. They're starting to make a move. Let's see if they can move a little bit further. So, I'm doing a lot of HELOCs right now because people don't want to touch their first interest rate.
Right.
So people need money. So I'm doing a lot of seconds.
Dig it.
Yep. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be back tomorrow night, Friday, our regular time, 7:45. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 6 hours. I'll be lonely. My wife's leaving to the Philippines tomorrow to visit her family.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm going to do for 12 days, man. I'm going to
enjoy.
This is a great show. This is an awesome show.
Thanks, you, Frank. Good to have you on, man. It's great to go down memory lane back.
Great to have Frank and Lou on.
Old college days.
Hey, follow me in the Dungeon Show. There you go.
Yes, that's right. In the Dungeon Show, guys. You need to give a follow to Red's show, In the Dungeon. Let's see if I think I had it on here. Let me see if I can
just like over his right shoulder.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have a feeling that if I did play against Frank and I went hard to the basket on him and I tried to pump fake him, he would stay down and get it out of here, man.
Get it out of
here. No. See, you were 6'3"? How tall are you?
What was that?
How tall are you? 6'3"?
Yeah, almost 6'2", 6'2.5".
Yeah. So you know how to play. You were faded on me a little bit, and a little fall away jumper.
I'd have faded away. I'm not trying to a lot of my game was like going into somebody and moving them off. I couldn't do that to you. Were you 240, 250 in your playing days?
265.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
I'm staying outside, man.
No.
Hey, that was my
senior year. I was probably about 255, 260.
My biggest claim to fame was I was not. I like to get in there and mix it up in the rebounds because I could jump. I was the 5'11" white guy that could actually dunk a basketball. So
wow,
yeah, I could jump.
That's impressive.
My biggest problem is my hands weren't big enough to palm the ball. So I had to really get up there, and it wasn't a hard dunk. It was if I could hold the ball good, it would be easy. But I could barely, I had to kind of. But the best part was just love. I was just kind of one of those I was kind of like a
You were a
Matthew
pest on the floor.
Dellavedova. I was a Dellavedova
pest.
guy on defense. I was just
Oh, I hated
annoying
guys like
I
you.
was that annoying
Yeah.
guy that
Couldn't move your feet, so you'd hack all the time. I couldn't stand.
No, I can move
against
my
guys
feet.
like you.
I can move my feet. I was just like tenacious. I was just in your face. I just was like, because I just went all out. And then when I was spent, I'd come out. But I was kind of crazy because I just
What's good high school?
Clayton Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I wasn't.
Oh no, Bill M. I could play. I could play. But going up against Frank inside, I know my limitations. So
yeah, I was more. I was better my earlier years, freshman, sophomore. I got kind of passed up as I got older because I stopped growing, and I was really 5'11". I was 5'11" in 8th grade. I could dribble. I learned to dribble really young, so I could dribble, but I was like almost a foot taller than the kids in 8th grade, so it was easy to score. But as I got older in high school, I just had to, so I became kind of more of a defensive guy. But anyway, great show tonight. A lot of fun talking Warriors. We'll be back Saturday night too for Warriors Detroit. By the way, guys, that's going to be a very tough game for the Warriors.
It is.
The Warriors are coming off 5 games in 8 days on the East Coast. Pistons played last night in LA. They had today off, tomorrow off. They'll be well rested, enjoying San Francisco probably tomorrow, and they will be ready for the Warriors. That's going to be a very tough game. I think the Warriors can win it, but if they do, it's going to be a dogfight.
first game off of a long road trip at home.
Very tough.
Always very underratedly tough.
Very tough. Very tough. All right, guys.
Pistons 11-2 in their last 13.
Yeah, they did lose last
Remember
night
that.
to Harden and
Harden was unbelievable.
Clips.
He scored 53.
All right, guys. Thanks for being part of the show.
All right.
Enjoy the music on the way out. Put up your comments.
Good night, gentlemen. Take care.
Good night, Frank.
Bye-bye.
And put up your comments, and we will read those or put those up if I can find the music. Here we go. There we go. All right, guys. My salute. If I can get to the